Hello, everybody. Happy Home Day, everyone. And hello, friends who are tuning in from LinkedIn, IG. Today is my very first time doing it IG together with my very special guest. So I hope you guys can join me in Instagram if you prefer, or LinkedIn Live, wherever medium that you prefer. And welcome, welcome, welcome back to another on my weekly LinkedIn Live, 30 minutes coffee break with your LinkedIn girl. So I'm Salina, everybody, ex-LinkedIn girl turned into CEO of the Academy in the middle of COVID-19. I am showing up for my amazing community every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time or 3 p.m. Central European Time to answer any questions you have relating to LinkedIn and share one topic that I'm passionate about, and it would be helpful for you to get real result on LinkedIn and utilize this powerful platform and stop feeling stuck and overwhelmed and lack of time to figure out LinkedIn all by yourself. Everyone, I'm here for you. If you're a solopreneur, business coach, or one in making side hustler who is looking to build a strong personal brand and turn connection to customers and boost social engagement on LinkedIn, you, my friend, you are in the right place. And for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know one thing me and the Academy very well is marketing. And I'm here to support you to market and sell yourself better on LinkedIn. And I also love a good cup of tea as well as coffee. So let's get started. And you guys know the drill. If you guys can hear me crystal clear, please, please, please leave a thumbs up for me, as well as comments below. Whoever is joining here with me Instagram Live, please let me know. Do a wave emoji or anything that I could know that you're here. That would be fantastic. And tell me where you're dialing in from. Are you dialing in from the United States? Or are you dialing in from Europe? Oh, Nadal, hello there on LinkedIn. And I see some Facebook friends over there as well. Hello, guys, and one YouTube friends, and a lot of you on Instagram. I'm just super excited. So I can make sure you guys have this hustle-free and no technical issue live with me. And today, I'm super stoked to welcome my very, very special guest. I'm going to introduce you to someone who is going to change how you think about creating content on LinkedIn and stop feeling stuck when it's time to post or having a brain fart. Come on, everybody have a brain fart. I have a brain fart here and there when I'm posting on LinkedIn. So if your ears just perks up, I know you're going to love today's coffee break with me and my very special guest. So who is this amazing copywriting unicorn that I'm talking about? Her name is Christine Gomolka, a B2B tech copywriting expert and copywriting mentor, helping SaaS company choose words that make people buy, an expert in content marketing and emphasizing with your audience. Christine is going to share her top I'm saying 5 ways to source new LinkedIn content ideas, which will basically give you a bank of ideas in your back pocket for when it's time to sit down and write an actionable next step to create amazing, compelling content on LinkedIn. So I don't want you guys to wait any longer. And hello, David. Hello, Nita. Hello, Stephen. Oh, great, Stephen, dialing in from the oldest city in Switzerland. Cool. And hello, David. So happy to see you. And hello, Nidel. So happy to see you. And also friends on Instagram as well. I'm so excited to see you too. And let's welcome my guest here. I'm going to do it like on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. So guys, bear with me. I hope I could have Christine on Instagram. Awesome. Oops. I know it's going to be having a, all right, we are live. Hi, Christine, how are you? Good, very well. I'm just so excited. I'm doing this like IG live together with Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn all together, and I'm so excited to have you here with us.
Am I muted? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to not have the phone echo.
Me too. It's my first time trying this, so we've got to figure out together. And thank you so much for being my test rabbit for this one.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me, Salina.
Yeah, before we dive into today's topic, which is 5 ways to source new LinkedIn content ideas, I would love my audience to get to know you. Tell me one thing that is not on your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, one thing that isn't on my LinkedIn profile is my obsession with Peloton. So during the pandemic, I got really into bike riding. And then once the winter came here on the East Coast, I knew I needed something for the indoors. So I invested in Peloton. You could probably see it behind me right there.
Wow.
My obsession, that is what I do every single day. And it just really helps me to focus, and it's more of like a mental clarity thing. And it's just so much fun. It doesn't feel like exercise. So.
Yes. Oh, nice. Wow. This is definitely something that is very special for anybody to know about you, Christine. And that's totally something that is not on your LinkedIn profile. Thanks so much for sharing. And can you share a little bit about your journey of becoming an entrepreneur as well as B2B copy expert? Because I see the commonality between us that you're in the corporate world for quite some time, like myself. And how do you make the transition, and how do you take that leap of faith?
Yeah, so I was in software and technology sales for years. So the transition to copywriting was pretty natural because copywriting is selling with words. And I think that a lot of people that are in the sales profession, they understand that they are getting results for other companies and that they would be able to do the same thing for themselves if they were to go out on their own. So I always had kind of an entrepreneurial spirit, and it just made sense for me to go out and handle my own clients versus working for a company. And I think my strength as a copywriter is that I was in such a customer facing role before even entering the marketing side of things. So one of the most important parts of copywriting is understanding your audience before you even begin writing anything. And sales gives you that hands-on experience, and you get to hear the customer objections. You get to actually see what their pain points are firsthand. And a lot of marketing people don't have that hands-on experience. So that's what I want to share with your audience today, Salina, is how business owners and entrepreneurs can create engaging content based on what their audience wants to see.
Absolutely. And Christine, I'm so glad that you talk about target audience. And I like that both you and I are in sales background. And that's some of the things that some people probably won't see, that sales are actually the person that are in the frontline soldier, always constantly talking with audience, understanding their desire, their wants, their needs, and their pain points. And ultimately, we are those sort of function that understand the background of where most of our clients coming in with some of the challenge, and hopefully we could tackle it. So I'm so glad that you brought that out. And now I'm pretty sure you have used and leveraged these transferable skills to your job right now, which is helping a lot of SaaS company to write and content that convert, to help them to channel the thought as well as what some of the client pain points, so that people would act when it's needed. So that's great. And thank you so much for sharing with us. But why B2B, Christine? I want to follow up with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just got into B2B sales as soon as I graduated college. It was kind of an accident. And I feel like a lot of people in sales can relate to that, because I don't think any child grows up saying, I want to be in sales when I get older.
Yeah.
So my first job was selling ads to local businesses. And then throughout my sales career, I progressed to more enterprise level companies. And, it's interesting. When you try to differentiate between B2C, there's not so much of a difference. It's just understanding the nuance in their role. So if you are selling B2C, for example, the Peloton for me, Peloton was selling to me as a consumer. When you're B2B and you are selling to enterprise level companies, you just need to understand the nuance of not only what that person desires, but how their desires are affected by their role within the company. So B2B really just adds a second layer, because A, you're targeting somebody in their role. And there's also a lot of, there's also more decision makers in the B2B process. And I think that's why B2B tends to be a lucrative field, at least for copywriters, because it takes a little bit more to get a B2B sale. It's a little bit more complex than B2C. So I don't know how I wound up in B2B. It just happened and I'm going with it.
I can tell, I like the complexity part that you talk about, Christine. It's the sales cycle is way longer to convert a client. It might take perhaps not just 1 month, 3 months, or even half a year or a whole year in order to convert. So that really get down to the nitty gritty, like you said, the audience part, right? Like how well you understand the audience, so that whenever you're reaching out, communicate to them, that's like something that they really want and that they can ultimately buy from you, and that's a solution to their problem. So that's great. By the way, Nidel, my very good friend from LinkedIn, say good morning, Christine from New York. I'm very happy that Nidel is here. And you have a really great question to follow up. And is it true we are in the state of selling at the time, even when it comes to our brand? Christine, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'm one of those people who thinks that basically everything is selling. I mean, if you go on a job interview for something that has nothing to do with sales, you have to sell yourself to this company in order for them to hire you. If you go to ask your spouse for something, or your boyfriend, significant other, girlfriend, you have to sell. It's pretty much, and I think the word sell or sales scares people or gives people this sleazy impression, but it's just a form of communicating and being persuasive. And I don't mean pushy. I just mean being able to communicate the benefits of what it is you're requesting. So yes, I believe that we're selling in so many instances throughout life.
Absolutely. And now I hope we answer your questions, and great questions keep coming over, and Stephen as well, and David, and Ellen, Gianna, so good to see you, and Mika, I'm so happy that you guys can tune in today's session, because you're going to learn so much from Christine about her 5 ways to source new LinkedIn content ideas, which is a perfect segue for me to ask you, Christine. So before I jump into that, I want to share a little bit of my writing ritual with everybody, and I want to also know, Christine, what's your writing ritual? So I'm having this really good friend of mine. She's a content strategist. She's now working for me for the In Academy. And before that, I had this huge amount of pain whenever I need to create content and start writing, because I'm a salesperson. I love to talk. I love to present, but I'm not necessarily a great person when it comes to expressing with words. When I need to sit down and write something together, it creates huge amount of pain as well as anxiety for me. So, and she was like, oh, Salina, like her name is Jennifer. She was like, Salina, you have to figure out your writing ritual. If that is the muscle or habit that you train yourself with, it's going to be getting easier and easier. So now I figure out my writing ritual, and I'm going to share with every one of you here. Don't judge me, please. My writing ritual is either every Friday afternoon when I finish my final call with my B2B clients over there, or Monday morning. So Monday morning, usually you guys don't see me on social media or as active as I am. I'm actually blocking that 2 to 3 hours time just all by myself in a Zen moment and just creating content. And I will open either my Evernote or what I call an idea dump sheet and just put out all the themes and ideas that I have. And the ritual that I talk about is 3 little things. So the first one is not guilty at all. I put out my light cedar wood candles here, so to make me feel zen and like comfy. The other thing that I like is free from distraction. Just basically I close off everything except my laptop or some of the notebook that I have. The last one I will say is pretty evil, but I love it. Christine, you know I love a good coffee. And what I did is I put coffee as well as a vanilla ice cream scoop, if sometimes needed, 2 scoop. And that just helped my creative juices flowing and helped me to pull out all the thoughts that I have for that upcoming week. So I either do it like weekly or bi-weekly, or sometimes if I feel really, really good, I will even do it for a whole month to put all these amazing ideas for the next month, what I'm going to post upcoming. So what's your writing ritual? Because you are the B2B copywriting expert, and I'm pretty sure my audience would love to know yours.
Yeah, I mean, I do something similar in the sense that it's coming up with ideas and topics in one session. So you want to be able to do the research and gather all these ideas and file them. And everybody should have everyone should have a project management software. I personally use Trello. There's so many amazing free project management software solutions out there, or even just a spreadsheet in Google Docs or whatever. But I think it is a matter of doing that research in one session and then dumping all your ideas into one place and then kind of teasing them out on a schedule. So I wish I could say I had like more of a exciting ritual, but I think because writing is my job, it's just I sit down at the computer and I plow through it, and it's not fancy.
All right. And I hope one day I will get to your point, Christine. So nothing fancy, just go ahead and do it. So Trello, guys, is a great project management tool that Christine just mentioned. If you guys are, want to organize your thought into one place, please go ahead and take a look. I will make sure in my notes over there, I'll put in Trello later for everybody that is interested. And Nadal just want to follow up with you. And he just said, love that first time someone addressed selling this way. Thank you, Christine. Awesome. So Christine, what are the 5 top tips that you have when it comes to, creating content on LinkedIn and ideas?
Yes. Okay. So let's start from number 1. I started with the most practical, easiest tactic for people to implement. And as I go through these points, I'm not going to just give you some tip. I'm going to actually follow it up with an action item. A lot of content on the internet is really just talking in circles and throwing vague generalities out there. And I want to get away from that and actually give you tangible action items that you can do today to put this into motion. So first things is repurposing your existing content. And I know that's a boring way to start off this list, but if you are feeling writer's block, this can be amazing. And this is actually the biggest content marketing secret that, large B2B companies who have this entire team of writers, this is the secret. It's repurposing content, right? So it simply means taking content that's already been created and revamping it and giving it a different twist and optimizing it for different platforms. So many people don't do this because they think, okay, I already wrote about this. I don't want to be redundant. I don't want to repeat myself. But the truth is, our audience does not see every single piece of content that we put out there. I know that we hope that they would because we're putting the time and effort, but unfortunately, a large part of marketing is just finding creative ways to repeat yourself and say the same thing over and over again. So what my action item for repurposing content is okay, analyze your existing content, see how you can repurpose that content into a LinkedIn post. So most entrepreneurs and business owners, they are creating content somewhere consistently on some platform, even if it isn't LinkedIn. Maybe you're doing podcast episodes, maybe you're writing blog posts. Pull from that content to create LinkedIn posts, because right then and there, the research was already done to create that blog post or that podcast episode. So really capitalize on your effort, because content marketing is really overwhelming unless you have a strategic, organized way to go about it.
I absolutely love that. So I hope everyone is taking notes here, because to me, I am taking notes here as well to learn from Christine. Repurposing content is the very first tip. And I love that you mentioned it's not just LinkedIn. It could be repurposed in various platforms whenever you're starting to post as well. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, so number 2 is focusing on the problem of your ideal customer or your audience, right? So this is the biggest problem people have of what writer's block is. And what I'm about to tell you will abolish writer's block. Seth Godin is a huge marketing guru, and he always says that writer's block is not real. So, and this will give some clarity to that, okay? Instead of asking yourself, what should I write about when you're trying to come up with topics, you should actually reframe and flip that question and say, what does my audience want to hear from me? So a lot of content producers have low engagements or not great results because they're creating content that they want to create instead of what their customers actually care about. So you should reframe the question from what should I post to what is my audience struggling with? And if you have, a gauge on what your audience wants to see and what they want to hear and what their problems are, you will never run out of topics. So the action item is make a list of 3 to 5 of your audience's biggest problems, the topics that you know they're struggling with, and create content topics around those struggles. So like I said, it ensures that you're not going to be staring at a blank screen and you're not going to get stuck. And I think the next natural question is, okay, Christine, how do I know what my audience is struggling with? So that brings me to number 3.
Awesome. And guys, I just want to say these are awesome tips from Christine. And I hope, again, you are writing notes here. And Nate, so happy that you're joining. Nate just said so true about repurposing, fire emoji, love that. And then they'll have a follow-up questions in terms of, don't you think repurposing content could conflict with our why or the business why? What do you think, Christine?
I'm not sure what exactly they mean by conflicting with the why, but your why comes through in the content that you create. So if you create pillar content, or you're really clear on what your messaging is and what problems you tackle and what you stand for, you only have to write that out a certain amount of times, and then the rest is just iterating it in different creative ways. So I'm not sure what they mean by conflicting with the why, but maybe there's something inauthentic they feel about like just repeating themselves over and over again. Is it maybe not as real? And my answer would be no, it's just a matter of getting your message out there, because like I said, we have so much noise to cut through on the internet. If I don't have the statistics right in front of me, but if you could see how many emails and marketing messages we are all bombarded with, we have to keep repeating ourselves over and over again to get through and cut through the noise. And when you repurpose content in a creative way, you're doing something kind. You're providing a service because you're saying, I want you to hear this message. Let me put it in this way. Let me post it on a LinkedIn post with emojis so that it's interesting. Let me put it in an engaging email. You're doing a service for your customers.
Absolutely. And Nadal, feel free to explain a little bit of the why. I hope that we could those questions coming, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm sorry for breaking up a little bit in terms of Christine. Wonderful 2 tips already. I hope you guys are really, again, dropping some notes. The very first one, just to recap, is to repurpose the content to your various platform. And then second, we'll be focusing on the problem of your ideal customers or audience. And the actionable item is make a list to 3 to 5 of your audience biggest problem and the topic that they struggle, and really creating content around that. Amazing. Cool.
So number 3, Salina, I think this really leads into number 2, because people are saying, well, how do I know what my audience is struggling with? And this is something that all great copywriters do, but everybody kind of has a different name for it. So I've talked to one copywriter who called it stalking. I call it eavesdropping. So if you can eavesdrop on your audience's conversation, you can learn what they want to hear from you. So not only do you have to know what their problem is, but you have to know how your audience speaks about their problems. So where can you find that information? Well, ask yourself, where does my audience hang out? Where do they find solutions to their problems? It could be Google searches, Facebook groups, online forums. These are all great places to not only find out what they're asking, but the words they are using to ask the question. So as a copywriter, my job is to mimic the exact words people are using to verbalize their concerns, right? Because that's what will make marketing content resonate. Your post should be less focused on finding the right words and being a good writer, and more focused on just listening to how your audience actually speaks. And it won't be novel worthy or journalistic. It might be choppy and short phrases and punchy sentences and maybe even slang based on how they speak, right? Okay. So I'm in the B2B SaaS world. So one place that I like to go to see how people are talking about their issues is review sites like Capterra or Trustpilot, where people actually give their thoughts and opinions on certain pieces of software. And this is important because let's say I'm selling CRM software and I'm trying to find out, okay, what's the audience's problem? They're not going to be saying, hey, like they're not going to be Googling CRM specific questions. If anything, they're Googling issues that come from not having a CRM in their life. So they're Googling things like, how do I organize multiple spreadsheets? How do I keep my organization on the same page? None of that is CRM specific language, yet CRM would actually be the perfect solution to those problems. So this is the action item. Choose 2 or 3 platforms where your audience is asking questions actively and monitor those platforms. And you will find gold in those questions. You will find gold in their language. You can copy and paste it and have a file and say, this is how my audience speaks. And you can use that in your posts.
I absolutely love this tip so much, Christine, and thank you so much for sharing with my audience, because that's something that it's so easy when it comes to, having a brain fart, which I did sometimes posting, and you can go to all these amazing groups that your audience are trying to share and ask for help and really pull out some of these amazing content ideas and use it to speak to their own language. And I like that you talk specifically about the language or terms or some of the slang that they talk about, because that's how your audience talk, right? And if they can see the way how you're trying to create content that resonate to them, that's 10 times more impactful. And thank you so much for that. And I want to add one more tip on top of that, Christine, because sometimes I did that too. If I am stuck with certain things, let's say my audience are looking into going LinkedIn Live, but don't know how to do that, I would sometimes do a little bit of research on LinkedIn and put in LinkedIn Live on the search bar on LinkedIn and just filter by post and see who is actually posting things. So it's either, like you said, people that is requesting for information, or the other side, which is people already giving solutions. So I will take from both ends and see which one is most helpful for the audience by looking at the social engagement of that post and see whether some of the extra tips that I can sort of like reshuffle and add my twill to it. So thank you so much for that. And I hope you all are enjoying this. I am, and I'm learning so much from Christine. And hello, Asma. So happy that you can join us. Joa, I hope I do not butcher your name. As a YouTuber and content producer, he 100% agree with you, Christine. So happy. And also MD, so happy that you're here to join us, as well as again, I'm so bad with names, and I hope right after this live with Christine, I will definitely go ahead and go to your profile and check out whether you have the audio pronunciation. So I'm making sure I'm not butchering your name, but I know how to pronounce your last name, Patel. Mr. Patel, I'm so happy that you can join us today. And hello, Linda from Instagram, as well as Angel, my friend. She's here, as well as Sandy, as well as Chishia, as well as Mary could join us. Thank you so much, guys, and I hope you're dropping notes. And Christine now is talking about eavesdropping on your audience conversation. So tell us more. What's your number 4 tips, Christine?
Salina, what you said before was so valuable about keeping an eye on what other people are answering. And that really goes well into my next point, which is what some companies call competitive analysis, but give it your own flair. So when all else fails, keep an eye on the topics that your more experienced competitors are posting about. This isn't about plagiarism or stealing. Don't ever try to copy what anyone else is doing. But if certain posts are getting a ton of engagement, it's safe to say that the topic does resonate with the audience. So look at topics that are getting a lot of traction and make it your own. Add your own life experience to that topic, and it will look and sound totally different than what somebody else posts, even if they are the same topic. So keep your eyes peeled for posts that get a lot of traction. And just as from a copywriting perspective, let me tell you this, it's not that the person who posted it is some great writer. It's that their topic resonated. So don't try to copy anyone else's style or their words. Just focus on the topic and don't be insecure about your writing skills, because the world we're living in today is not judging us so harshly on our grammar. It's literally people looking for solutions to their problem. And if you have spelling errors or if you mispronounce something, I promise you, nobody is judging you the way you think they are.
I absolutely love that, Christine. And back to, me butchering people's name. I hope nobody's getting angry at me for that, but I agree with you. And that's very motivated to hear from a copywriting expert that nobody's actually judging you with grammars. They're actually constantly looking for insight. As well as some of the tips that you want to put there. So thank you so much for making sure everyone's are feeling uplifted when they are looking into posting on LinkedIn or in various areas. And Steven just want to say hi. Thank you so much for joining. He's saying really good points being made, and thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. So competitor analysis, but give it your own flair.
Yes. Okay, so this is my last and final tip. Okay, so it's to create content based around themes. So I actually had a bad taste in my mouth when it came to this tip, because I see so many companies and brands capitalizing on things that happen, whether it's events or whether it's silly holidays that are, we have our national holidays, but then we have I want to call it the made up holidays, like National Dog Day. And I say that because I am obsessed with my dog and my dog is my life, but still it's like National Dog Day. I don't celebrate that. So companies, they kind of, I see that they join in on these themes and you're kind of like, this is silly. Why are they doing that? But there's actually a deeper psychological reason of why this is effective. Mm-hmm. So the reason why people post around themes is that by doing that, you're entering the conversation already going on inside of your audience's head. So it makes your content less of an interruption. It makes it easier for their brains to absorb your content because they were already thinking about that topic, whether it was, someone said happy donut day, right?
Yes.
Like, we're already on your way. We're already on your way to Dunkin' Donuts to get that free donut for donut day. And then you have a marketing message targeted at you talking about donuts. It does do something at like a deeper level that a lot of us may not even understand how that impacts us, but it doesn't require the brain to switch gears, which requires more effort. And I'm not a brain scientist, but what I do know about marketing is that, we don't want to do so much work when we're thinking about things. The brain is constantly trying to optimize and find easier ways to, absorb concepts. So
Absolutely.
you can look at, this is the action item, look at what's going on in the news or articles that are trending. LinkedIn obviously has this search, this side pane talking about the topics, and people do a really good job of like latching on to those events or those articles or those news stories and creating their own view about it. You can do this on Twitter as well, but you're offering your take on a trending event and finding a way to tie it back to your brand or your unique view on the world.
Absolutely. Christine, I absolutely love this point, and I like that you brought in like LinkedIn do have a sidebar to help and assist us as members whenever there's trending topic, and one that previously is the Asian hate crime, what's have happened. They even have sort of like a couple like different feature and product to really support you, to share some hashtag in order to raise the awareness. So I actually really, really love that point by taking notes in some of the trending events. And I like that Nate also find out today is Happy Donut Day, just like you said earlier. If that could tie back to your brand, that's like hooray. It's like a win-win situation. So that's fantastic. Awesome.
And Salina, I just want to add one thing about that.
Please.
Be careful with choosing themes, because something that I see a lot of companies do is jumping on bandwagons for certain social, certain social justice issues. And while I do think that's important, I think we are going to reach this tipping point where people start to feel people start to see this as inauthentic, as fraudulent, as basically capitalizing on these really tragic events that we're seeing in this world. So I would say use tip number 5 the least and focus on what your message is and what problems you are solving, and be authentic about the social justice causes that you care about. I'm sorry, when I see these big brands kind of like really like cashing in on certain tragic events, it's icky. And I think everyone's okay with it right now, but I think in the future we will see that for what it is. And I'm not saying that people can't talk about important issues. Like you said, we have to raise awareness, but I would just say check in with your heart and be authentic about the things that you are posting about if they are sensitive, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. No, totally. And that's definitely a really good reminder for everyone. And basically, the best content is honest content, being authentic and being you, your real you, right? And a great brand, it's all about that ultimately, whether it's B2C or B2B, everything come down to the human type of content. So I totally agree with you. And I like that you mentioned really focusing on the amazing 4 tips that Christine have shared earlier, repurposing content to various platforms, focusing on the problem of your ideal audience, as well as eavesdropping on the audience conversation. That's basically my favorite, really. And thank you so much for reiterate that, because sometimes I forgot as well some of these amazing tips. And last but not least, look at what your competitor is doing and giving it your own flair. But last, if it comes to really not knowing what to post, I think the theme or like the Happy Donut Day that Nate just brought up, it's fantastic ideas as well, but really go down to thinking about if you're sharing your views about current events or some of them more sensitive issue and happening, make sure that's really aligned of what you're believing in as well as being real. And I agree, like those brands out there just looking into an opportunity to cash out as well as promoting their brand is just a huge no-go. And I'm pretty sure smart readers like us or smart customers like us, we're going to see it right through their eyes as well as what their intention is. So I love all these tips, and I hope all of you enjoy so much of the conversation that I have with Christine. I know we're running a little bit further in time, but I just are really enjoying the really amazing coffee break with Christine here. And I see that you guys are as well. And for those of you who really have one or a few more questions to really wrap up with my session with Christine, please go ahead and just comment below. For whoever that is on Instagram, I apologize in advance that I don't be able to basically do the guest split, but I will make sure next time if I have guests coming over, I would try to test it and make sure you can see Christine's face here too. But for those of you who dial in from LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, if you have a question for Christine, please go ahead and ask, because I have Christine here with me, and I just want to say super thank you for Steven, Nate for participating, and Nate say thank you, Christine. My grandma isn't my strong suit, but the message is more important. Totally. And Nate, again, thank you. Solid tips, Christine, and thank you for me for hosting, and thank you. So guys, if we're just like 2 more minutes, if anybody have any questions for Christine, please go ahead and ask. I actually think I might be missing this one. Nadal asked, as a copywriter, do you take into consideration what is trending to cut the traffic flow within social media? That's a great question.
What do they mean by that? Cut the traffic flow within?
This is what you mean earlier. It's like very busy with all those overwhelming information. Everybody is trying to promote themselves. What are some of the things that you would take into consideration? If Nadal, that's what you mean, please correct me.
I have to say, I'm not a huge social media writer. So my copywriting services are more focused on long form content, on web page copy. And just recently, I've been getting a lot of requests from clients for LinkedIn content. Mm-hmm. So typically, I focus on education and awareness. It's not necessarily looking at what is trending, unless it's something that's super relevant to that industry. So if I'm writing for an AI client and I'm writing LinkedIn posts for their CEO, maybe if something comes up in the news that's related to AI, a big breakthrough, that could be something. But just for the B2B world especially, I tend to not revolve around like what's trending.
Great. So
and
just jumping in to talk about, like, to explain, meaning jumping into what is trending and directing attention to what you're selling.
Yeah. So if it makes sense, you don't want to see like something crazy in the news and be like, wow, this is crazy, but check out my product. Like, that's the sleaziness that we were talking about earlier. So it has to just be relevant. But actually, Salina, one person in your audience I saw said something about like, my grammar isn't that strong.
Nate,
yeah, Nate, I just want to say I used to be an ESL instructor in New York, and I would just say that the fact that you are talking and verbalizing and getting your message out there really is so much more important. The number one reason people struggle to become natural sounding in English is because they're too focused on grammar. And what's ironic is that because most of my students were Asians, most of them were from Japan, they know English grammar better than I do because you guys learn it in a different way. So like, actually being super grammatically correct doesn't always work in marketing. So don't let grammar hold you back is my my tip.
I love that. And Nate, I just want to give you a huge backpack on the back because you have been posting consistently, first of all, on LinkedIn, as well as posting really high quality content. When I mean by high quality content is where I will stop and really think, really, sometimes I will learn from you. Sometimes I will be, having different insight as well as opinion. So I just want to say, keep it up. For me, I don't really care about grammar. I mean, Christy, I'm so glad that you said grammar, that, Asian for us, we have better grammar. I don't think I do, but thank you very much. And so for what is really important is the message. So great. And for that, I just want to say thank you, Christine, again, for popping into my 30 minutes coffee break today on our Happy Home Day. And I hope you really enjoyed today's session as well. I do, and I learned so much from you. For those of you who dial in and join us today, I just want to say thank you again. And I will see you next week. Going to play some music to say goodbye for everyone. And Nadell, thank you so much for joining. David, Steven, LinkedIn user. I sort of know who you are. I think you are Maya because I remember that's a bug from LinkedIn. And Nadell again, Nate, so happy that you join us and throughout the session, just share so much of your ideas. And Usama, as well as a couple of you. And I hope to see you guys next week, same time, and with another of my amazing guests. And see you guys and have a wonderful week ahead. And bye.
Bye.